Okay, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion, we come out of recess.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Grant, seconded by Commissioner Perry to come out of recess. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are back in session. Back to budget workshop.
Yeah, Judge, I think maybe just to set the tone for this
Okay.
morning, we've got a couple things we want to talk about that we maybe get off
Sure.
quickly this morning, and then we've got to get through the rest of the elected officials so we can start working on those letters to go
Right.
out. They've got to be in the paper by tomorrow. We need to get everybody their letters today.
Okay.
So that's kind of priority number one before lunch, but I think the sheriff has some updates on what was the city talked about yesterday. We have the deputy constable here to talk about HB 33 and seeing if we can not do 4 different ballistic missiles or ballistic shields. My mind is in another area. Sorry. It's on the offense, not the defense. But so maybe we can look at that and get some information, and then we can dive into the rest of the.
Okay.
And then, sorry, Meals on Wheels is here too. I don't think they want to sit through 3 hours.
Yes, they do.
Budget
Sure we
meetings.
do.
Yes, they do.
Sure we do, Eddie, yes.
But maybe we address them. I don't know if y'all have something to present, or maybe we address them first. That way they don't have to
Yeah.
sit through.
That'd be great.
Other stuff if they so choose. Is that fair?
We
Sure.
can do.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Well, Judge, welcome. It's good to meet you. My name is Christine Hockenboy, an Executive Director of Meals on Wheels, North Central Texas. I know the other gentlemen on to the left and right of you. They have delivered meals with us several times since my history here with the organization. Judge Carhan, the budget request we are requesting for the Commissioners Court to consider is $38,000.
Okay.
It's a slight modest increase of 6.4% over last year. Last year was 33,000. This year it's 38,000. At present time, just some trivia facts for you. Presently, as of today, we're serving 197 residents of Navarro County. That is equated to just shy of 28,000 meals already in our fiscal year. Many folks love to know, well, who are your senior adults? The vast majority of are female or male. So sorry, guys, females live a little longer than male. And of those 197 we're presently serving, 64 of them are over the ages of 80, 25 are veterans. The vast majority live on $25,000 or less annually. 48% of them, which is almost half, live alone. And most commonly, I'm always asked, where do they live? Number one, our largest population is going to be Corsicana, followed by Kearns. Our newest residents that we are now serving meals, our newest communities, is we have a person in Hubbard. That's one of our newest ones, right there on the edge. And then we continue to serve the southern part, Purdon. We have 6 individuals. The most common reason people come on Meals on Wheels home delivered meal service is they refer themselves is our number one reason. Number 2 is by family member. Number 3 is home health. And home health can be a hospice, it can be a home health entity in your community, it can be health and human services, it could be a medical doctor. So those are the 3 top factors. We also receive referrals from adult protective services, individuals all throughout the community, and volunteers actually will refer someone because they have met an individual in need. Carhan, our Meals on Wheels budget is tight, it's efficient, just like what you do here in the county. At the present time, to serve an individual for an entire year, Monday through Friday, is $2,880. So if you equate that to the $38,000 request, that's about almost 13 individuals. The Navarro County residents do support North Central Texas in providing the home delivered meal service. It is that nutritious meal. It's the wellness check. We're ending senior hunger. We're combating isolation. And together we are making a difference to let our senior adults know that they are not forgotten. At the present time, I don't mind sharing with you, not only is our budget tight, but as of the time that I submitted my budget request, we had eliminated the wait list. I'm sorry to share with you that 3 weeks ago, we enacted it again because we cannot keep up with the demand of request. And you have to have a balance, just like what you're doing here with budget request. So we have enacted the wait list. Unfortunately, again, we are still talking with individuals. We have them on the wait list. We are identifying them as high, medium, low. As more funding is secured, we will remove people from the wait list and bring them on to home delivered meal service. So it is a very sad situation, but that is the world in which we live in right now. So I hope you can appreciate the responsibility we have as an organization as well. I would love to entertain questions you personally may have. These 4 guys know me already.
They know the program.
They do, sir.
Just because it's come up in other areas, Charlie, do we have a contract with them? How does the money flow, so that we are in line?
Yeah, I think is there an MOU with you guys or a contract?
It's not per se a contract, if you will, Charlie,
Mhm.
but we request annually for consideration to be put in your budget.
Okay.
You do not have, it is very freely that you do that. And it is under consideration, and then you approve it, you notify me, and then I submit an email invoice for payment.
I think
Okay.
we did dive into maybe having a contractual agreement with you guys of why we're supplying this, and that way
Yes.
It's not to pick on you. This is.
No,
it's a-
I do understand
Yeah,
that, and that would behoove both of us.
Yes, just so
to
we're
have a
under
formal
agreement of,
agreement.
yes,
Absolutely.
that if all of a sudden you guys decide to close up shop or stop
Yes.
doing something, then obviously the funding will stop from us
Yes.
to you guys.
I would
Do you
agree.
do you do the same presentation in Corsicana City, or do they fund you guys, or how does that work?
Funny you asked, City of Corsicana and I visited just this past week, and they have awarded us $2,250 of this year's budget. So
So they're
yes,
giving you $2,000 or
$2,250.
that's it? Or, sorry, I'm just trying, they're,
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'm just, so they're giving you $2,000, a little more than $2,000 in their budget for this year.
So I can't speak for the City of Corsicana because there's no one here to speak to it. But
Sure.
to my knowledge, they have a bucket of money in which they allow nonprofits to apply for,
Mhm.
and then they segment of what they're able to give.
Okay.
So they,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can tell you, they are in line of past history of what they have given.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Okay.
it is a good amount. What I'm proud to say is Navarro County itself has, since my tenure here with you for the past 6 years, is steadily increased little by little.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. George Carhan, I can tell you that as I work with Johnson and Ellis counties respectfully,
Mhm.
we don't have an agreement per se, but it's a great opportunity for you to create one and have a good model for us. So
What
yes,
what is Ellis County fund, you guys? Just so in comparison, do they set their budget, or have they committed to a certain dollar
I
amount?
get asked that a lot, and respectfully, it's not something I should share with you.
Okay.
But it is much higher because I have a longer relationship.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds
Okay.
great.
I'm gonna say about double, and that's all I'll share with you.
That's,
And then
puts in the
Johnson
ballpark.
County is
Yeah.
even more because we are 50 years old, and that's even more of a long history. My history here with Navarro County is going on 6 years now.
Perfect.
And when I started, it was very small, of 14,000, and I have respectfully increased slowly, respectfully, but it does need to get up. The 197 clients at just shy of $3,000 a person to serve meals year round, Monday through Friday. I need a budget of over $590,000
Just for Navarro County.
just from Navarro County.
Okay.
Contributions that are coming into this county is just over 100,000, and that included a $50,000 grant. So charitable contributions for the county residents is very low. So respectfully, you have to understand, we're fundraising all the time,
Yeah.
everywhere.
That's great.
So the other 2 counties are subsidizing
That's what
while we serve
Yeah,
here,
I was
Navarro
I
residents.
started doing the math in my head. And that's
Yeah.
what-
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
and that's just they're just
From a
facts.
population standpoint of how many meals you serve, it's obviously Ellis County is bigger than us. Are you serving double the amount of elderlies in Ellis County, or what's the population of?
By far, we're serving probably close to double.
Yes, ma'am.
And Johnson County would be the most hottest.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Yes. In fact, I just brought those in Johnson County. Last year, about 50% of our clients were Johnson, 32% were Ellis County, and 18 Navarro. So I was about spot on, just almost double.
Okay.
We took over. I'm so sorry, Joe.
No, 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 no,
Like to ask.
no, that was helpful because you know, with the agreement question, it's just making sure we're in compliance with what we need to do with public money.
Yes,
Um,
yes. And what's also going to be new for you here in a few weeks, if approved, there'll be another submission come back to Commissioner's Court, and it's for the Texas Department of Agriculture, Texas Feeding Texas.
Mhm.
And that is a separate bucket money from the, in Austin, that is for senior adults 60 and above. I can't apply for that until I go past our space here,
Okay.
and then I do that one.
Are we a co-applicant agreement? Are we a co-applicant for you on that grant?
Not a co-applicant, I just can't apply until y'all say we're already in your budget.
Got it. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
It's because of the way.
Is there a matching, or is how does that?
It is allocated based on the census.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And so the census right now is still 2020. Okay, so they're still working on those figures, and it's pennies on the dollar, and it's a paid award.
Okay. Yes,
And you said most of the people receiving Meals on Wheels were in Corsicana or in the unincorporated part of the county outside of the city of Corsicana.
Yes, sir.
So the majority were inside the city, the numbers.
At present, I have 132 in Corsicana. The next highest is in Kearns, 21. Then it would be Dawson with 10, 6 in Berry, 5 in Frost. I can't remember if I said 6 in Purdy or not, 4 in Richland, and then 1 Z, 2 Z's in Chatfield, Hubbard, Navarro, Powell, Rice, Wood.
Yeah, I think we delivered 10 in Dawson.
Yes, yes, we did.
I was just curious about the percentage of
Yes.
city dwellers on your program versus the county dwellers.
No, I understand. The one in Hubbard, respectfully, I struggled doing that one because it is so far on the county line that I reached out to Mills and Woods Waco. I said, please, can you take this one? It's almost out of our way, but because where do the property taxes go? Again, if you're a dwelling and you're doing property taxes to which county, that's the Mills and Woods that serves you. So I took it, and we have made arrangements to get this person's meals delivered because he matters.
Right.
Thank you for doing that.
You bet.
Well, thank you for your presentation. I think I'm informed at this time. If I have more questions, I'll reach out.
Well, thank you. It's good to meet you. Again,
You
the
too.
request is 38,000, a modest request increase. Would love it if you said 138,000.
Me too. Sheriff, do you want to go next about the city?
Yes, I just wanted to, again, yesterday I brought up a scenario about the city and the request for the fire department, and for clarity, the way that we dispatch and, under your protocol for these events. And so this morning I had a conversation with Captain Cagle because during the process yesterday, they, elaborated that Melanie, is the person that is signing off on the billing information or whatever. So for clarity, I wanted to get her to come back this morning, discuss, there was a question yesterday about how were they being dispatched with the engines to medicals? Because I spoke about that being a common occurrence and gave you an example of the industrial accident with a deceased person and an engine responded. So this morning, Melanie's going to basically just enlighten you on what our knowledge of those scenarios, how they're being dispatched, how she gets involved in the process of checking off for bill payment, and then any question you may have, either she or I'll answer.
Sure.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming.
No problem. So I did bring a copy of just a brief portion of our SOG that we utilize for fire and medical,
Mhm.
which would include volunteers, ambulance, Corsicana Fire. Just in case somebody, I'll provide it to you all to look at, but yes. Yeah, that would be me.
Yeah.
That way y'all can look it over, because the sheriff and I were speaking about it. We probably all need to make sure we're on the same page as to what we're saying.
Sure.
As far as, Corsicana Fire going, it should be if there is an immediate concern of a structure being involved.
Mhm.
Like we gave the example, we had all those grass fires the other day on West 31, 1126, 744. And you can just tell by the trail of that was left behind that it was very close to a structure. I can obviously see why that would be called in. The rest of it is whether somebody believes it to be or not. They hear structures threatened in the area. On the medical side of it, you'll see in there that there's nothing about a Corsicana fire truck going. I can tell you historically what's probably been happening. The medics are asking, some of the medics are asking for an engine. Some of them, I think almost every time they roll out, they want an engine to go with them.
Mhm.
Some of them could be because they think, well, this is a potential heart attack, so I may need somebody in there doing some life-saving measures while we're trying to drive, so I need an extra. But then again, they're not the one paying for Corsicana every time they roll out. So some
Is that-
direction in that would be nice.
Let me ask this question. Do those ambulance drivers, do they call our dispatch or Corsicana's dispatch?
When we dispatch them, they're with us. And so generally you page out an ambulance and then they'll say, go ahead and get Corsicana and run.
Yeah, this is only speaking to what transpires outside the city limits.
Yes.
I think the
Right.
city has a protocol that they dispatch them to all kinds of
Okay.
medical emergencies in the city, but we're just talking about what goes outside the city limits.
Yeah.
And I think, I want to say we've talked about this before because the ambulance service is a service we pay for. Corsicana is a service we pay for. But you do have one entity telling us to do something with another, and we're still paying for it. Even though we're not calling them out, we're being asked to call them out. So that's probably something that needs to be addressed. As far as the billing portion, I get the billing every quarter just to review that what they gave was correct. So if they say we got canceled, we charged $100. I go back, verify that on that date at that location, they did go. It does match up to what they're asking in the billing. That's all I do. I don't have any stake in the billing part. I don't even look at the billing part. I just make sure that whatever they put down is accurate. And I can tell you over the past several years, it's pretty accurate. And this is only for fire. I never get anything from medical.
But correct me if I'm wrong, cancel means the minute they clear the station.
The moment they're paged and they roll out, if they get canceled immediately, it's $100.
That's right.
So, you know. I try not to let
Are,
the dispatchers think about
are these
that.
fire
Sure,
trucks
yeah.
being self-dispatched?
They're not being self-dispatched.
That's
They're being requested by the other party that we employ.
the ambulance
The house
Yes.
drivers.
The issues with the ambulance has always been the people are not from here. They don't know where they're going. I don't know what technology they use for mapping. They have a hard time finding places sometimes. And then if they're not putting enough people on it, like if you hear it's a possible heart attack, why aren't you loading one more person up in there because you're probably going to need support? Instead, it's, well, we'll just get Corsicana to go. They don't think about it because they're not being charged for that. We are.
Is there a way that we could dispatch a volunteer?
We
fire
already do.
department? Y'all, oh, that's already part of
Volunteers
it.
are already pretty much
So
going.
the Corsicana fire engine is in addition to our volunteer fire.
Yes.
A lot of time, majority of the time, our volunteer fire department is the first one there.
Right.
Yes.
But then again, you do take into account that a volunteer went there in their truck. If they ride back with an ambulance, how are they going to get back? You know, where I think there's just inadequate staffing on the ambulances for certain events. And then
Sounds like.
some of them really just like Corsicana to be there to back them up. I don't know. But that's for y'all to decide what we should do about that. I would love nothing more than to be able to say, no, we're not sending Corsicana, staff yourself. Be prepared.
And I'll speak a little bit more to that. Our position is, for law enforcement, we don't need a directive from the commissioner's court as to what to dispatch. we're providing a courtesy to dispatch these other police agencies. They're outside the sheriff's office. It's a courtesy for us to dispatch the fire services. It's a courtesy for us to dispatch the ESD. It's a courtesy for us to dispatch the medical. But we need directive for that, and that's where you guys come in. So the scenario here is, and I don't want to call them loopholes, but they have a SOG in place as far as what to dispatch for those personnel there. So they understand the process, what they should and shouldn't do. And when you have the medical personnel who they're dispatching immediately come on there and say, we want you to send a Corsicana engine.
They don't know what's out
What's-
there already.
Okay, now here's where we put the sandwiches on the table. What do my people do?
Yeah.
Do they say, no, we're not gonna do that? Or do they err to the side of caution and send them? That's where there's got to, this should be evaluated.
Yeah.
And from an outside perspective, I speculate, and that's speculation only on my part, that goes along with what she's saying. The level of professional service that you once were accustomed to with Corsicana Fire, they staff their ambulances with paramedics. They didn't roll an ambulance that didn't have a paramedic on it. I'm not so sure that
Yeah.
term is plentiful in the ambulance service you have now. So,
And if you notice in our SOG under the medical, it's not even mentioned, Corsicana Fire is not even part of it. So when they ask for it, the dispatchers are doing it because they don't know to say no, because they
Yeah.
don't want to have the
Yeah.
liability of
Yeah.
saying no. So,
Yeah, it's not.
but it's not even addressed.
but then again, you go back to, and I'm just being the devil's advocate. You're sending first responders, but then you're sending and again, if Corsicana is sending engines into the county for free, so be it. But I didn't hear that yesterday. I heard
No.
300 an hour.
Right.
This is a dumb question, but I've only taken one ambulance ride in my life during the MS-150. Don't the patient get billed for ambulance rides? Like,
Yes.
well,
Mhm.
who gets the money for that?
And they also,
So Corsicana gets the money for the ambulance ride, but we still pay half their operating budget.
they also have a plan where you can get on where you pay the city so much
Yeah.
a year.
To pay off your
And
ambulance ride.
your
Yeah,
your
my
ambulance
question is-
ride, an ambulance ride, they don't charge you for it if you call,
If you what?
if you call them.
But I mean, right now,
$48 a year.
the ambulance gets dispatched into the county. That resident gets billed,
Yes.
but we never see, in essence, half the income, even though we're paying half the expenses. Am I missing something there?
No,
or-
they're not.
No, you're not. No,
Okay.
no, certainly not.
This is one of those deals I was talking about
You're
yesterday,
seeing-
where we're not in on any decision
I mean,
making.
in essence, it's a joint venture agreement, right? I mean, I look at it, we pay 40%. I think you brought it up, Commissioner. In essence, we would split 40% of the revenue, right?
So we only have an expense interest, not a revenue interest.
I mean, it's a working interest, not a royalty interest.
Exactly.
Well, they say that
Speaking
the
your love
collection
language,
yeah.
rate, they say that the collection rate is minimal.
Well, I don't care if it's $1, I get
Right.
40 cents.
That's right.
I mean,
I'm just telling you what they say.
yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but not, right? I mean, they didn't present us a budget of, here's our revenue collections discounted at 90%, we only collect 10%, therefore our operating budget is this, and you need to split, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Judge, it's like, they just presented us the cost of the operation, not the full budget with revenue increase, because there are insurance, and insurance does cover ambulance rides if you're insured, right? So it's not like they get $0
That's right.
in their deal.
They also collect that fee every year from people too.
Yep.
Ambulance
For
fee.
ambulance.
That's what I'm talking about.
So I don't know, Judge, I don't mean to kick a
No,
horse,
no,
but I love doing it for some reason.
Well, when you're talking about fees and stuff, because you're absolutely right. I know it's going through your head because it's went through our head before. Some of the volunteers also that have cities that they work under,
Mhm.
they fall, if
They're
they don't work
charging
an
too.
accident
They
out
call
there
them
on the
insurance.
interstate,
Mhm.
that city is filing for the fees for that volunteer fire department.
Mhm.
And there is
Yep.
But yet you're
revenue
funding
being
that
made from
long-term
that.
fire department.
stuff. And they can't all do that. I mean, your Pursleys and your
Sure.
Yeah.
Dawsons, I don't think they're doing it. I don't think anybody out west is really doing anything like that. But you get around that interstate and they
There's,
see the writing on the wall.
those are, we pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for the ambulances. My question has been, when they go out of service and they salvage those and sell them, they sell them
We don't see,
for $60,000-$70,000 and we don't see any of that.
we don't see 40% of it.
That's exactly.
It looks like there's a whole lot of money floating around unregulated
I think at the time.
from all different.
I think when the time that it happened, the reason that some of these are still issues is because we had a need. The cost of the Corsicana ambulance service went up so high that when the city went in with these alternative, the easiest thing to do at that
Yeah.
moment was to go in with what the city was doing. It doesn't necessarily mean that's how we have to continue,
Sure.
That's,
but
that's
most
what I was
ambulance
talking about
services.
yesterday. We were approaching the $1 million mark. that we
Yeah,
were
it
gonna
was
be giving
high.
them for ambulance
Yeah.
service.
Mhm.
So when they jumped into this, of course, what was, at the time, it was a no-brainer. We're
Right,
gonna cut
right.
our ambulance service by
We need something.
3/4, on both, I mean. But at the same time, and I don't know if this is the case, but I assume it's probably the case a lot of times. We got a cheaper ambulance service, but we got a not as good ambulance service too. And a lot of these guys rolling out in these ambulances, they don't have the experience that these guys on the truck have. That's why they call it the truck.
But Jason, the
Yeah,
problem
That's what
is
she's saying. It's a
this
safety net.
community's not set up for the system that they have in place.
Mhm.
We were able to accommodate it and ride with them because they let them go out to their station around Corsicana. If you go somewhere else, these ambulance services have substations within those
Yeah.
communities that they service. We don't have that. So at the time, we were kind of at the mercy of the
Yes,
city
that's right.
because we didn't have a place to put them. And we still to
Yeah.
this day
And we
haven't.
still don't.
It's gotta be something, Judge, in the 5-year plan that we
Yeah.
gotta address if we're gonna do this right.
We could probably find a building
Oh, yes, sir.
in Rice, Kearns, Dawson.
Blooming Grove.
I'm sure there's a
Probably
vacant
find
place.
one.
Yeah.
Uh,
North, south, east, west.
Well, I'm
But
old
like-
enough to remember Daniel's ambulance service that serviced
Yeah.
Corsicana and the county, and they had their own building. It was right there at 20th and
Instead-
7th.
and they were awesome.
So I think it's something that obviously we can't do today, but I think during this next fiscal year, pressing that button and
Yeah.
fully looking at that ambulatory plan where we're servicing the county and more immediate needs, that's gotta be something that we look at. I mean, I don't think there's gonna have a voter that.
And you wouldn't have to have one in every small town.
Right,
You
just-
just probably need 3.
Yes, sir.
It's
You know.
response times.
I mean, we're
Even
getting,
if you had one out west and one out east.
Yeah, one out east.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're applying for the judges helping us apply now for an ambulatory grant that will pay us about $350,000 if we get it. So
Which was about what an ambulance service was gonna cost the
Yes, sir.
county on its own about
Right.
8 years ago.
Right, so we're actively in our office trying to get state money for that. It's a rural ambulatory grant, which is what we're going after. So it's something we can address. I mean, once the judge signs off, you
Right.
kind of got to get it the first day
Yeah.
because there's only so many out and then it reopens it
I,
later.
When we called their bluff about 8 years ago, I did a lot of research on ambulance service and had
Yes,
3 or 4 different companies come down here.
Yes, sir.
And it was gonna be less than what the city was charging us
Yes, sir.
at the time. Of course, what we just talked about, they needed buildings,
Yes, sir.
they needed, that kind of thing. And it wasn't as many ambulances, but we didn't need as many ambulances because we weren't gonna be serving inside the city limits.
Yes, sir.
And it was around the $350 mark, 8
Per-
years
per
ago.
unit?
No, total.
Total for 2 or what was it? Or,
That was for a minimum of 2, maybe a maximum of 3.
yes, sir.
And that, like I said, that was 8 years, 6
And
years.
obviously price is going to increase, but I think it's worth in this FY27 to
It was then.
similar what we're doing to what we did in FY26 with the software approach. Go do some studies with it, come back to the commissioners.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we're ready to pull the trigger at some point in FY27, we can do a budget adjustment. If not, we put it in the FY28 budget cycle.
Mhm.
You remember when we got crossways, we started getting crossways over the ambulance cost and it was like $400,000 and $500,000 our cost.
Yeah, it was going up.
They're asking, they're
Not
saying
too
it's
grand.
462 for one ambulance, part-time. Now, and our cost share on that is $230,000 for one part-time ambulance.
Did y'all check to see, is
That's
that the
'cause you're paying
Corsicana
your staff.
spare?
They're gonna
That's
do
number
need to do
7.
other
Did
things.
you check to see how many they actually ran in the last fiscal?
Well, David
Okay,
did
that's
that
number
little
7.
deal in 19 months, 18 months, they had 19 runs.
Calls.
And then they had 58 runs. And they were wanting us to cover 50% of this ambulance that ran 19 times in 18 months. That's once a month. And now then, like I said, I can remember, because I just took office and this thing is, the numbers started climbing on the ambulances and it was like $450,000 for all of them. And now this is for one part-time ambulance. And like I said, yeah, I'm kind of playing the devil's advocate here, saying, how many times does this thing run and what does it cost us per run to have this thing ready? Or is there another avenue?
Well, and plus that ambulance that they want to keep and staff in case Allegiance was to pull out. We're paying for those employees, that ambulance,
Yes, sir.
everything in it, that
And then
includes.
also the facilities, the station that it's in,
Right, they want
we're
us.
paying for the facility. We're paying part of the insurance for that.
The toilet
facility.
paper?
Yeah.
I mean,
One
Two-
extra
everything.
additional thing to that, I don't know why we would have to pay for that spare when Allegiance has come out and said Ellis County's full staffed. Anytime something major's going on here, we have one to pull. We're
Well,
not
they're
having any
saying, they're
issues.
saying they're keeping that and staffing that in case of Allegiance said,
Yeah.
we're out in Navarro County, see you.
yeah, but they gotta have a contract. They can't wake up on
I
Tuesday and
understand.
say
I'm
that.
just telling you what
There's gotta
they're
be
saying.
an exit-
Yeah.
There's gotta be an exit clause.
That's their
in that
reasoning.
Contract where you're not.
That's their reasoning.
Yeah, but if they, I mean, I would be shocked if it's like, I can have 24-hour notice and I'm out. Like, I would think
No,
it's
I think
contractual.
it's
for
30
sure.
day notice.
I mean, even 30 days, you could
But
probably get
still.
another commitment in here. I mean, I'm
Sure.
sure there's plenty of ambulatory services that'd be like, hell yeah, I'll go do that. But I think my biggest issue with the city overall is it's a number and a crap, not a very good Excel file printed
Yeah.
off with no details. Just like when they send us the
And no safe for us.
$375,000 of tax that we owe them, no detail, no broken out by deal, no
Mhm.
nothing. And then even when we start asking questions yesterday, it was very much looking to this gentleman who was
For-
sitting here, like, what are you doing? Like,
And for 3 years, they've told us the same thing.
Right.
We can get you that detail.
And I mean, so
But
with y'all's
yeah.
with y'all's approval, I will press them for ambulatory stuff. I'll
Mhm.
press them for, animal shelter stuff. I'll press them for the tax reimbursement. I'll press them for it, but I want to make sure I'm staying in my lane.
Well, we can't give them an answer without that information.
Yeah, and I'll work with you on that too. It won't just have to be you. I
Yes, sir.
mean, and, because I want to see all that stuff personally, just to review and, yeah, it's just more questions than answers at this point. We
Yes, sir.
just have limited information that's presented.
Yes, sir.
So on our behalf, all I'm asking, now that you're in the know about how this is being dispatched, we need guidance
Yeah.
to, do we continue business as usual when the ambulance rolls and they say send a Corsicana engine? Do you want us to continue that until further notice? Or,
If they're asking immediately that they get dispatched and they're not 100 yards down the road and they're calling for one,
They're
I
calling.
would
because
say-
of
They're
not at the
Time
scene.
delay in the county, because if you're going to Dawson, you don't want to wait till you get to Dawson and
Okay.
find out it's a heart attack and then you never.
Yeah.
know.
Explain the
That's why they're
situation
doing-
here this last week. If it's not too.
The deceased person, you mean?
the industrial accident?
Yes.
The minute that forklift turned over at that industrial work site, the individual was
Deceased.
deceased. I'll say it yesterday, I'll repeat it. Before the 911 call was placed, he was deceased. But yet, an ambulance dispatched and then a request for a Corsicana engine. And they went to that location where I believe first responders were already present. And all I'm saying is.
This is a pickup.
That's not an isolated incident, you know, we see that a lot of times too on deceased persons where the ambulance is dispatched. And when they get there, and I've had conversation with my personnel is, if that's a deceased person, we work it as a deceased person. And, you know, to go up and maybe transport or want to transport somebody that's deceased, that engages a billing cycle for the victim's family and all that. And it's just business. I mean,
Yeah.
but
Well,
back to
obviously-
that is just so we're clear. We have a directive from the Commissioner's Court in what to dispatch.
Mhm.
That is now apparently been circumvented by the ambulance service, who is oftentimes or frequently requesting a Course County ambulance to respond once they have been dispatched. Outside of coming to the court and saying, listen, you gotta make a decision on that. Captain Cagle has put out an SOG, but as she said, it doesn't cover medical necessarily. And we still operate under the directive from the court that came up years ago in reference to, if a caller says, I don't want first responders, we don't
Well,
send
we
them.
had that.
We don't send them. But if they don't specify, if they ask, do you want first responders? Because some people don't want first responders at their house. They're private, or for whatever reason, they don't want it.
Mhm.
So we honor their request. But if they don't specify, we send first responders. All we want to know is, and I know this has been thrown on you right now, is, do you want us to continue what we're currently doing? If the ambulance rolls and they say send a Course County engine, want us to continue doing that until further notice? Or not?
In the scenario that the Course County engine is seeing is the ambulance personnel are thinking they need somebody else for the medical.
We can't answer for them.
Yeah.
We just know that's what's happening.
But if Course County fire truck goes,
And we don't know for sure they're charging them.
yeah,
I don't know. I know what I heard yesterday was $300 an hour.
Yeah.
And I just don't know.
Is there-
I'm out of my circle saying that.
yeah, and I guess my question is, if Course County fire truck goes with personnel on that fire truck, does that make a better, a safer, a less liable scenario for us? Because they're there, and our first responders are there too?
I
or
think you
what?
gotta find out what the agreement is. 'Cause like I said, I don't ever see
Yeah.
the medical billing. I only see fire. So I think you gotta find out what that agreement is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if it's an agreement between them and they're not charging us, that's great. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
wonderful, because it works
Yeah,
on
if they're
both.
not, they're not.
But if
charging.
it's not, and there has been some kind of charging that I'm not even aware of, I would really like, instead of us saying what we're gonna do, I would like Allegiance to know what they're going to do. Because if not, then you get on the radio and you have a dispatcher having to argue with somebody on an ambulance on the radio.
Yeah,
we don't need that.
Right.
We gotta avoid
It
that
needs
at
to
all
be from the
costs,
top,
Yeah.
on both sides, the directive be clear.
So in
Yeah.
fairness to us, can we say we will continue operations as they are today until we hear differently from the court?
Yeah, that's what we need to do for now, because this needs to be a separate agenda item and properly called meeting to address it. And once we have the contract in hand, you know,
It's me.
we can't decide that
We
right
just
now.
want clarity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and do the HB 33 and then we can jump into salaries. Is that okay?
Yeah.
We're on to that one. I think there's some questions that I asked the constables and the deputy constable about, does each constable need the same ballistic shield and the stuff that's required under the law? Because I want to make sure they're in compliance, or is there a room that has to be readily available, so if somebody needs it, they can come grab it? So I'll put a little bit Adam here and let him Educate everybody.
I know there's a lot, this House Bill 33, but thrown at y'all. I printed y'all out, each one of you, a copy of the actual House bill and the TICO rule. TICO actually went in and made more specific things to this rule, to the House Bill 33. Now, from what the TICO rule says, ballistic shields are expensive. I've got two of them on the back of your deal. One of them 6,500, one of them 8,000.
Which are grossly over what the constables requested. I think they did like $2,000.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And see, that's for a level 3A shield. That's only good for handguns. The ones that I put the quote in for, they go up to a 7.62 rifle rate. Okay, if you're gonna do it, you just do it right off the bat. You don't have to. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because what's to say TICO come back next year and say, well, wait a minute, you gotta have a rifle ballistic shield, and then we're back in the same boat.
We got some junk.
We got some junk, and we need to upgrade. So if you're gonna do it right. Now, that shield has to be readily available. So the 4 constables can enter into an MOU between themselves, and that shield can be sitting like in my office. It's readily available to all 4 constables. Whoever needs it can come in and grab it. I know that takes more time. It extends your response time, but you're not gonna take one of these big shields and haul around your car all day. I know in my pickup, I don't have the room. You know what I mean?
And then
So-
you go to Walmart and you come out and your window's broken, it's gone.
Yeah.
And then somebody else has it.
Yeah, somebody else has it. There's also grants coming online in December for ballistic shield. Right now, I'm currently working with, Officer Teach over at Corsicana County ISD. I've spoke to him. I'm gonna get with him in December. He's gonna help us do all our grants for everything. Everything we can apply for, we're gonna apply for. So,
Do y'all ever put in a request into the 100 Club?
the constables have,
Y'all can too.
they've got some stuff from the 100 Club, and I know the sheriff office has got some. I know there was a lady that
Yeah.
was doing the shield.
That's right, out at the lake.
Yeah, and I just heard yesterday, she's no longer doing this. Because I asked her that. Now, I don't know for a fact that if we tell TICO, hey, we don't have the money to purchase these shields right now, but there's a grant coming on board in December. That's our game plan to be in compliance is, do the grant in December. Or if we purchase one now for the entire, all 4 constable officers, we can do the grant and get reimbursed. I don't know exactly how
Mm-hmm.
that works as far as the reimbursement. But I wanted to print all that stuff out for you so you can see it for yourself as far as what TICO and the House Bill 33 is requiring of each office. It really affects the small offices a lot harder than it does like the sheriff's office because, they've had this stuff in place for many years. They have SWAT, they have, I know that they provide all the patrol officers with, rifle vests and all this stuff. So the small agencies are the ones suffering. And there's a guy that's in charge of TICO right now that he's got it out for these small agencies. They pull Frost. They pull TICO license and Frost.
Mhm.
So they no longer have.
They don't have
PD
police.
Right.
Because they're not in compliance.
Yeah, they let their paperwork lapse or something.
Yeah. So
Just weren't in compliance.
as far as my budget, I know that Charlie was asking me if I had everything in the budget for compliance. The only thing I didn't have any as far as the compliance was the shield. But if, we could do one shield for all the constables and it covers, my people as well.
Well, it says at least one bulletproof vest per officer on duty.
Yeah.
You got three constables out serving papers at the same time. That's three of them on duty.
That's 3 vests.
Plus you.
Huh?
Plus you.
Yeah, plus me. So if you look over here on the T-code rules down here on E, it says access to at least one breaching tool and one ballistic shield. So it doesn't say that each officer on duty has to have their own shield.
So the vests are gotta be done.
The vest, for sure, each officer has to have a bulletproof vest.
Now, is there any requirement that they have to wear? I mean, if they're out serving papers,
That's,
I don't know why we wouldn't.
that's the sheriff's
You'd
office.
be surprised.
I don't know why we wouldn't, but, I mean, if we're gonna spend that much money.
Yeah.
And you got in the back of your truck, doesn't mean much sense.
On the constable side, that's each individual constable has to do a policy, just like sheriff did a policy on his guy.
Houston had a constable.
And my policy is mandatory wear.
I don't know
Houston,
why, I don't
Houston
know why
had a
it
constable
wouldn't
serving papers. that
rock up to
died.
somebody's house, not put it, I wouldn't. I mean,
I wear mine every day, all day long. You know,
Somewhere around the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's your life.
29 years,
Responsibility
I don't have
to
no
yourself.
extra holes in me. I don't get none of that.
I mean,
And that, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm just working on my camera in the middle of a bar ditch somewhere. I got best.
You never know, there's crazy people out there.
And I know
Well, they
that,
sat in here right here yesterday and said how dangerous their job was and why they needed a raise, so we ought to make them wear their vest. If we're providing it, they ought to have to wear it.
and
If
I
their
know,
job's that dangerous.
I know that I've seen all of them except Kim wear the vest when they're at. Now, do they wear it every time they're out? I don't know. It's not my job to keep up with it. I know that for me, I wear mine every day. And whoever's gonna come in behind me is gonna wear theirs every day, but I'm gonna put that in policy. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So precinct 1 under Mike, we're gonna put it in policy that if you're out, you're gonna have your vest on, period. And what the other constables do, you know, they're just like the sheriff. They're an elected official and they have their own office.
Okay.
The reason we did it, not that I should be chiming in, but the reason we did it when I became the sheriff, because there's a federal 50/50 grant available. And the only stipulation to that is mandatory wear in your policy. So that was a no-brainer to the taxpaying citizens for me to adopt a policy that says in enforcement operations, you will wear a vest, and then being reimbursed by the federal government. So we've been active in that ever since I became the sheriff in 2013. Well, it's the same way when I worked for Homeland Security. Any enforcement operation, you had to have a vest.
Well, if you're not wearing your vest, not only could you lose your own life, you could cause a citizen to lose their life because you just got taken out and you can't do anything now. So if we're providing the vest, they ought to have to wear it. I don't see why we can't tell them that.
Now,
Mandatory.
If they don't want to wear it, then we won't provide it.
that's something else that Mike and I have been discussing. You know, like we have these reserve deputies that work court, the JP court. Well, if you have anybody working court, they're supposed to have access to a vest, a uniform, a firearm, less lethal. You see what I'm saying?
Taser or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we carry the pepper ball.
Yeah.
Same one the sheriff's always carry. But they have to have access to that. Well, instead of each constable having to buy their reserve deputy this stuff, we thought about that locked cabinet in the JP courtroom over there, putting a firearm, a vest, you know, everything in there that they're gonna need, because it only says they have to have access to it. And every deputy that works that courtroom and every constable has keys to that, and they have access to it.
They could come in with a shirt and pants on and they would have access to everything that's required.
Yeah, they gotta have a radio, you know, that
I believe it's gonna fall under their own duty, so they should work. If they're working the court.
I don't think it says you have to, I'm not getting any y'all's business, but I don't think it says you have to furnish them a firearm. I think they have to have a firearm. It says at least one firearm per officer on duty. Correct. So,
Which I carry my own.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of agencies, they allow for a person to carry their own weapon.
Mhm.
A lot of agencies issue you a weapon,
Mhm.
so they have more control on what you do and don't do. For an example, our agency has evolved since I've been the sheriff to issuing you a weapon. Reason for that is we control what it is, the caliber of ammunition, the ammunition you utilize, what you can do. You cannot tamper with that weapon in any capacity. You can't put optics on it. You can't mess with the trigger. You can't do anything. But if it's a personally owned weapon, he can do what he wants to do. It's just the difference in,
Put a red dot, whatever it wants.
And under that, if you notice on that first page on that, the House Bill 33, it says, the physical resources available to officers, including all standard duty firearms. That's lethal weapons, including requirement of at least one per officer on duty. Effective communications, protective equipment, including requirement of at least one ballistic vest on duty, at least one breaching tool and one ballistic shield available. You see what I'm saying? All these have to be available for the House bill,
When is the House bill?
September 1.
Okay.
Goes into effect September 1.
And is there you need to be ready September 1, or is there a grace period to get into effect?
That I don't know about the break.
and you gotta get killed in the uniform.
Guess what? Kids will have by their own uniform. You know, in my budget,
Wranglers and pearl snakes.
If you follow that,
that's right. Yeah. You know, this, I've adopted this standard uniform. Tan pants, black shirt, or blue shirt.
Your closet's full of that clothing.
Yeah. And that's what I wear every day. And the guys coming in, this is what they're gonna wear. They're gonna be in uniform every day that they work. Now, I've already purchased 2 firearms. And we went with the same Glock that the sheriff's office uses. Reason being is, 1, we get the discount. 2, if we're out with them and we get in a bad situation and I run out of magazines,
throw me a mag.
one of those guys can throw me a magazine or vice versa.
And it works.
Yeah.
Oops.
Or when it comes to certification of firearms, if they're certifying with the same weapon we're certifying with, the only difference in mine and his is a serial number. And you come to a litigation because I picked up his weapon and utilized it, I'm qualified with his weapon. The only
Block
difference is,
19s or block 19s.
the only difference is a serial number. Yeah. So that's a good scenario.
And that's the reason I bought the Block 19s. You know, I could have bought anything. But, you know, those blocks are $563 a piece with night sight.
Let me ask you.
You're not gonna touch any of them other firearms for $563.
And they're reliable. They're much free.
So this equipment went into, or goes into effect on September 1st, but you're doing a grant that's gonna be in December. Do we need to go ahead and? The grant's already closed, so I can't apply for the grant because they're already. Right, but do we need to go ahead and get it so we'll be in compliance? And I mean, even if we order it now, it's no guarantee it's gonna be here by. This is another question for you. And I don't know how many shields that y'all have, or if you have an old shield.
I know where you're going. If you had an incident in that justice center, we meet that compliance. So we're 15 feet away from the JP courtroom. We've got shields on site in the sheriff's office. So I can't believe in any world that would not
Suffice.
cover and define what they need in a.
I mean, I guess the question, yeah, that they have access to it.
The only question it would be is to say there was a school shooting.
That's different.
And our guys don't have access.
It's not JP for.
Yeah, you need one to carry outside of
Unless you have an agreement.
Here's my question to the sheriff. If he has an old extra shield that could sit in my office to keep us in compliance until we apply for the grant to send it,
That'll save the county $8,000. Again, familiarize yourself with the terminology in there that says an agreement. Number two, and I'm with Adam there, but understand, what the percentage is that you have an active shooter. And then also remember that those shields are the same as vests. When their 5-year shelf life expires, they expire because of liability. So do we have shields? Yes, but we don't send our vest out to other agencies, and we don't send that other equipment out to other agencies because the liability goes with it. If I give you my vest and say, there you go, when it's 7 years old and you go get shot, big percentage chance that it'll do what it's supposed to do. But if it doesn't, they had a manufactured shelf life and you got a problem in the liability world. That's correct. And that'll be us because they took it in good faith, believing it would protect them. And we knew the shelf life was expired.
Race cars have seatbelts. They have a 5-year life.
Yeah.
And they inspect them. They date it. If they expire, you can't race till you get new seatbelts.
Now,
Even though there's nothing wrong with them.
if
They've never been tested, in a wreck. They've just always.
if you guys want, we can buy a shield. You can approve us to buy one shield and we'll put in office. And when I apply for the grant in December, maybe the county can get reimbursed for that shield. Because we technically had to have it for compliance. You see what I'm saying?
We can try, or we just get another shield. I mean, if we get a grant.
Yeah, if we get a grant, just get another shield, one for your vehicle and one for,
But yeah, that's
Well,
totally up to you.
yeah.
I just kind of wanted to explain the House Bill 33 stuff because
So I think we got to look at, you said, Mike had already talked to all the other constables and they agree to share, or how?
yeah, there's
Explain that.
availability for the courtroom. One is most cost effective for the county. Instead of buying each reserve deputy all this equipment, it says available. House Bill 33 says available to us. So if we do that availability in the JP courtroom, because the reserve deputies work nowhere else but the JP court. They don't serve papers. They don't respond to school shootings. They don't patrol. They don't do. Their sole function is JP court.
I would, and this is a Elmer question. As long as he's comfortable with that, because you're putting a firearm and a vest in that facility that's under his control, even though it's in the JP's office, that, I think that's something y'all need to discuss, because
That ain't a good business model.
you know what I'm saying? Not that anybody would, but if they had knowledge that there's a gun and a vest already in this building. I don't know
I
what
think
that,
it comes down to how's it secured as well.
yeah,
yeah.
you might want to do, that's a discussion for y'all.
Then again, we can work with you guys and come up with a security solution that works.
I'm catching up a little bit here, Sheriff, but is this what you were referring to with an agreement, a mutual aid agreement that it was?
I'm saying that, we have all the breaching equipment in the world. We have better breaching capabilities than most agencies. And it's located at 312 West Second Avenue, right there.
Mm-hmm.
And although of course the county may have, capabilities as well, all I'm saying is back to the JP courtroom. You're 20 feet away from the sheriff's office.
Mm-hmm.
And inside the sheriff's office is a locked armory. And in that armory, there are all types of breaching equipment. There is ballistic shields. I'm simply saying, I can't believe that they would hold your feet to the fire to say, because make the rubber meet the road. You think we're not going to respond
Right.
if there's an incident in that JP
Right.
courtroom? So I'm not trying to get into his deal, but
It's already covered.
but
It
it's
should be an MOU.
Yeah.
Between
Now, I'm comfortable with that.
So,
Yeah.
1701.163B, a law enforcement agency may enter into a mutual aid agreement with a law enforcement agency with overlapping or adjacent jurisdiction to share protective equipment during a critical incident. to meet the requirements under subsection A3D, which is protective equipment, including the requirement of one bullet resistant vest and access to at least one breaching tool and one ballistic shield.
I think we're covered.
So I think that would be, you need a mutual aid agreement.
Other than the best, I think we gotta look at that. I don't know if they have.
I mean,
it.
the key word being an agreement, you know, that it works for you as
Yeah, they
well.
got it.
Yes, so what I'm saying,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess, and I hope I don't muddy the water, is back in the days of my tactical leadership
Mhm.
at the sheriff's office as a tactical commander, Dallas PD got all kind of grants to purchase Lincoln Bearcats for the city of Dallas. And in doing that, they had to basically say a mutual aid agreement, if you will. They were a regional response, and that's the way they got the money.
Mhm.
But when you call Dallas and ask for it, they say it's in service. So again, that's one of those muddy water deals to say, yeah, we got the money because we opted to this agreement, but when another agency requests it, they have priority, the agency that possesses it, and they can say that. But what I'm saying, I just make sure you hear what I'm saying.
Yeah,
What I'm saying is the county has all types of breaching equipment. They have a tactical team. They have crisis negotiations. They got ballistic shields. They got all these things that are outlined. And the realism of it is, if there were an incident to happen, God forbid it doesn't, and I can't remember there ever being one. But if it does happen, you think the sheriff's office ain't responding? You think the constables are gonna be by themselves? So if there's a need for breaching equipment, we're coming. If there's a need for shields, we're bringing them. If there's a need for, that's all I'm saying. I
Yeah.
don't know that helps him,
Well,
or that's
and there's
but
somebody,
I'm more specifically speaking to the JP courtroom.
sure.
You're 20 feet away from the incident with the things that are needed to be
And it's-
able,
and it's
or
manned.
that are required.
there's somebody there that can get in there at any time.
Right, right.
I'm not trying to pour water on their.
No, no, of
I
course.
know he wants to be in compliance. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal here with
But that
understanding
doesn't
that.
mean, that don't mean that they don't need to have a ballistic shield available for other
Yes, I'm not
things
sure.
outside of the county.
Sure.
Like you said, if you got a specific office or something and you say, we're gonna meet the requirement. But the realism of it is, before he can leave his office, if there was an incident in the JP, or go to his office and get it and come back to the JP courtroom, we're already there.
They'll
with
be
one.
there.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying.
You know,
Yeah.
the only thing about, like carrying that stuff in vehicle, I may be two blocks from Dawson School and something goes down, I might be the first one there. You see what I'm saying? And under alert training, the main thing is stop the killing. You are required to go in. So in that instance, you don't have the time to wait for them back up. You see what I'm saying?
I think we're covered under this until he finds out about the grant.
I do.
That's my stance.
I think we got a
Yeah.
contracted memorandum of understanding, or whatever it's called.
Mutual aid agreement.
Mutual aid agreement, sorry. I think they're smart to do that, just to have it in place, but I think, like you say, for now, it's.
But as far as going back to JP courtroom, the ballistic vest and the firearm, that court
That's a
officer
different matter.
has to be available to it. The breaching tools and the shields, sheriff's office got that covered from the 20 feet from it.
Right, and that's what the agreement would cover.
What would be more, I think what I would say to you, because you asked the question, is because that's a correctional facility and that puts us under, it changes everything. I think if you're maybe potentially planning that, I think that would be better suited to store that equipment at the constable's office.
I do too.
I think if you allow, because again, I say that's a different animal over there. That is a correctional facility and it falls under all different types of guidelines as far as state law, jail standards and everything that goes with that.
That's
I would not be comfortable
The
storing.
jail standards. is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah,
And that was a question that came up from mine, is that it is a correctional facility.
Yeah.
And
I just
this
think that's
would
bad
have,
news.
you know,
If it was
in
just a
order to do
courtroom,
this,
it'd be
it would
different.
have to have the blessing of the sheriff. Now, there's no problem with storing that stuff in the constable's office. And that guy working court, go to the constable office, get his junk and go to
That's what
court.
that's what he needs to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's the way.
Because even if it's not clearly defined, you can be guaranteed you'll be a test case if an inmate that was up there doing cleaning
Clean and sweeping.
of the floors, vacuuming, whatever the case may be, and he just happened upon
Some dummy left the door open.
that, I don't want to say it, but,
Well, I'm-
you know, we know mistakes can happen.
Yeah, it's not good business to have a vest and a firearm in the same building somebody has access to.
right.
But going back to the budget stuff, everything that I requested in the budget for hiring two and keeping one part-time, House Bill 33 is included in that, but to be,
Okay,
for,
We
that's
appreciate
for my people.
sure.
I'm not talking about the four constables, just the environmental group. My budget has everything outlined that makes us in compliance with House Bill 33. I'll make sure I put all that in there. And matter of fact, I went over it with, Charlie this week.
And there's other things in there since you're talking about House Bill 33, other than some of the things that he's discussed, like either you or your designee has to go to I'll just say it, nobody asked, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Because of the actions of some in Uvalde, Texas, it has penalized a lot of people across the state of Texas, being taxpayers mainly, officers. There's some good things that were, brought about, and then there was some, in my opinion, horrible, egregious things that have come about. But one example is the county judge now, or he'll have to appoint a designee to be a PIO for the county. It doesn't mean for me, it means for the county. And you have a specific amount of time to be able to accomplish that. And you can't just go to the PIO school of your choosing. The state of Texas now has, and I think you understand what I'm saying,
Monopolized.
is we've had active shooter training ever since before I became the sheriff. We did it voluntarily, and we invited agencies to come and participate if they chose to. But now, because of this, the state decides there's one discipline. And I've gone to, I can't tell you how many different disciplines of active shooter training, different classes, different agencies that are putting on what they deem to be the best version. Now, all of a sudden, you flush the toilet with all that. You got to go to who the state says is the one and only. It's the same thing with your PIO course. Doesn't matter that you've gone to PIO school somewhere, blah, blah, blah. Now, the state decides, we want you to go. You know what that's doing? That's making somebody's company, the stockholders in that company, a lot of money, isn't it?
Right.
That's the way it is.
Brother,
And that all comes from House Bill
And see,
33.
I went to PIO school,
And I did.
it just last month or so.
I went 9 years ago.
We have,
No, 16 years ago.
we have an agreement between, since I'm under precinct 1, the agreements with precinct 2 and 4, that I'm their PIO. So that meets their requirement.
Correct.
And it's the same with you guys.
Mhm.
You don't necessarily have to send somebody to school. You just gotta have an agreement with
Designate
somebody in case something happens that can come in and speak to the press on your behalf.
So we're probably not covered there.
Your emergency management coordinator
Is he?
meets the criteria, but he hasn't been appointed
Hadn't been
by the
designated.
county judge. There's where the rubber meets the
And
road.
he'd be a good one.
He's been designated on behalf of the constables. He won't speak for me and I won't speak for him, but he does have an agreement to speak on their behalf.
And that's a state school, that's a state certification, so you can be PIO anywhere in the state. And that's the reason they put that in, so you wouldn't, everybody just go to whatever school they wanted to. They wanted it because you're certified through the Texas Department of Emergency Management.
But here comes where the rubber meets the road. I know I'm causing y'all.
No,
But
this is
was
necessary.
this was the question I asked.
Yeah.
Okay. House Bill 33 says I've got to go to be a PO. you know, speak on behalf of that agency or designate somebody to speak on behalf of that agency. Okay? Well, clearly that would appear to be, have to do with a active shooter at a school, right? What happens if you had a in custody death? You think that, who speaks on that? Who speaks on a structural issue that is occurring within this building? Do you have to be that House Bill 33 state certified PO to speak on that? So that goes back into what I was saying. There were some knee jerk reactions to all these things that wind up becoming law.
It always is.
There you go. So
And there are some fights against some of the stuff in HB 33 through the Sheriff's Association of Texas that they're trying to get taken out of there.
Yes.
Hopefully that
this next legislative session, they will be addressing a lot of that.
Just
But
people
the
making
law
laws
is the
that don't
law
have a
until
clue.
it's been addressed and changed.
Right.
But I didn't give it to you about your part.
I need PIO training.
You either have to go to PO training.
Well, the one I went to, there was 300.
Yeah.
Because it has to be done by September 1.
So in the interim, I need to make an appointment.
That
Cover
might be the scenario to, as long as you have someone that's appointed until you receive the training, if that's what you desire.
Okay. I
And
just need,
I have that letter.
okay. I just need to determine if that's something we need to do in an open commissioner's court. If that's something I can unilaterally do. I don't know either.
Oh, no, but that's the way we handled it between, I know Bob and Rachel went to PO school.
Okay.
But the rest of the other three didn't. Of course, you're not gonna drag Kim to a PO school.
No, and you,
have to designate.
and you
have to
don't want him
designate on the
speaking.
PICO website. Yeah, I don't know whether the judge has to, but he would have to, and I would have to.
I
because
mean,
we
it
follow
can't hurt to
law
do it in open
enforcement.
court.
And designated
Yeah.
for TD.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll get that placed on the next available agenda. Just to,
Your next available agenda list is getting long, ain't
it is.
it?
So that,
I think it's good. We appreciate it, man. I think we can
Yeah.
go back and scrub the budgets and come up
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
You've heard of unfunded mandate surely by now. Thought I'd just throw that out there.
That's a cut. That's a
They're not
cut.
sending you any money for that training.
That's a cousin to unintended consequences.
Yes.
Are we ready to go to salaries to finish up stuff?
Yes, sir.
So I went ahead and added what we talked about yesterday. The county treasurer, put a new salary in here, the county clerks. So I think this is all what we talked about, district clerk, tax assessor, which is now representing the 3%, at the range. So some of the conversations yesterday, were about who should be at 3%, who should be at the range. We talked yesterday, if you look at the constables, they're all at the range. Y'all made an executive decision yesterday to potentially put the constables at the range. I think the reason why we did that is because there are constables that are in the mean average that are what's the word? They're actually pulling people over.
Enforcement.
Thank you,
Right.
enforcement officers. Thank you, Clint. So we didn't put them at the 3%. The JPs are at the 3%. The tax collector is at the 3% above the range. The county treasurer is right at the 3%. The county clerk is a little over, but that's only because the salary, the cost of living adjustment's only 3% for that position. And the district clerk is at their range. Judge, I went ahead and put in there your prospective salary, and we said 125.
Right.
So obviously it looks like the outlier, just so you guys can understand. I went and looked at, who are those outliers and what were the two counties that were, significantly above. Oh, I've got to move my screen over. Apologize. So remember we went into this spreadsheet yesterday. this to me now. But we went and looked at, I'll make it bigger in a second. The Hood County and Henderson County are kind of similar. Hood County's total compensation for their county judge is 164. So I was like, okay, and Henderson County is about 145. So then I went and looked at, are any of those lawyers? Hood County is a lawyer. Henderson County is not a lawyer.
Gotcha.
So just to kind of put it into perspective, why our county judge looks bigger than the outliers. I looked at Van Zandt. They're obviously significantly smaller. When I looked at the population of Hood County, it said about 61,000. At the census, it was about in the 50s. So they think it's grown in the last 6 years. So Hood County is respectively pretty close to Navarro County with around that 60-ish thousand. So if I were trying to drill down, at least on your salary, so
Right.
I was trying to find a true comparison, comparable distance, and looking at it that way, that is a lawyer and judicial matter. So I hope that's okay.
No, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. You know, the other thing with my court, you know, some things you come to find out with county judges is we are not all the same as insofar as our duties jurisdictionally. I think there's only one other county that hears criminal, probate, guardianship, and mentals. You know, so there's a vast array of responsibilities among county judges. And so I think that's a justification in itself as far as the caseload and the amount of cases I'm hearing. The attorney factor is opening up that court to more contested probates. You know, there's a mechanism where for criminal cases, if the judge is not an attorney, counsel can move that up to an attorney judge. You know, with me in place, that is going to ensure most of those cases are going to stay in my court. And so trying to use or utilizing that court more, I think, is a value add.
Visiting judges.
Correct. And we don't, obviously, with you being an attorney judge, we use Terry Jacobson. He's a great attorney. I mean, he does a lot for us, but obviously you're able to review contracts from a legal standpoint, where historically we've had to outsource that. I know we've used Bob at some time. I don't know if Carrie's going to always make her hire available. Obviously Bob's retiring, but I do know having an attorney that can look at a contract is better for the court.
Right. My understanding, she is going to still have someone available, but at least for streamlined, quicker decision making, and rather than offloading that to a contractor all the time. I'm not saying we'll never use contractors.
So I just kind of put it all in range. And then I think we're pretty close to, got through the constables. We're just left with the 4 commissioners. And y'all's budgets, you know, you kind of individually did them, and how we want to look at those and pull those out. And obviously the range, the TAC range, we're already over that. So this is one of those situations where I don't know if the TAC range is appropriate because of the size of the county, because of how far you got to, you know, move around. And obviously in there is y'all's travel allowance. And for me, it seems
I think that's
inappropriate because you're having to drive a long ways and coming into the office.
I think that's the big difference, is the amount of mileage each precinct has. It is cause for that, you know, looking like an outlier.
Well, if you look at, like you take a big county like Ellis County, that whole county is almost all incorporated.
Right.
So their commissioners have like
130 miles.
Yeah, their commissioners don't have hardly any roads because everything's incorporated. That makes it easy to
But
chip and seal.
but the little
That makes it
towns,
easy to chip and seal roads when
Italy
you
and
got 30 mile
all
roads.
those little towns, they do depend on the county. Like
I
I've got,
hope, I mean, I don't want to say I hope that happens in Navarro County, but as far as the road part of Navarro County, it's nice when most of your counties incorporated.
Well, I'll say
It
this,
frees up a lot of money to do some stuff.
I'll say this. My truck, bought it on June the 30th, 25. Right now, it's got 30,250 miles on it.
I got 60,000.
That's, yeah, I've got 202.
I had that F-150, when I got it, it had 50.
Yeah.
It's got 150 on it now. It's
The
dead,
numbers I wrote
it's
down,
dead at the
Charlie,
shop.
Yes, sir.
I just wrote down some numbers so I could turn it into y'all.
No,
If we're, if
no, I know.
we're,
Yeah, this is all preliminary, so whatever you guys decide on what. I'm just gonna pull up this budget.
Kind of what I do too.
Obviously, the way we set you guys, and then I know you all, have expressed throughout your cruise, go ahead, sir.
For the commissioners, that's why I think we pretty much agree that the travel allowance is reasonable considering the amount of miles traveled. I assume that maybe we can address that later, but that's why I think pulling out the travel allowance from those numbers to see what the base is would maybe be a more accurate view of a comparison among commissioners. I don't know what that's gonna look like. It's
Well,
just
right
a
now it's
thought.
only 74, so it's significantly below it. I'll go back to the PDF here that I've got.
So if you just look at
Most of them-
salary wise and not the additional,
Right, because they're not in here. There is a travel allowance. Let's just look at Hood. That seems to be a comparable county. That's what we just used for you, Judge. Their base is 91. They do not be provided a vehicle and they're not allowed. I mean, they did not report a travel allowance. Again, I don't know if all this is completely accurate because I can tell you the way they pulled it for us or whoever supplied it for us shows no travel allowance. And I know for sure we have a travel allowance. So again, that is only as good as what is presented, but their commissioners are at 91.6, 91.7 on a flat salary without car included. If I look at Henderson County, same thing. They're a little bit more because they do have a small travel allowance. And if I look at Van Zant, they're 67 plus, so they're going to be a little bit less. Wise doesn't report. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking at.
Rusk is at 72,
Yeah, Russ is 72 plus 18, so they're at a 90 plus. There, Walker gets 102. Well, bless you, sir. But they are provided a vehicle. So I believe we're now. I mean, there's a reason why we're high because of the vehicle allowance, but getting the salary correct. I mean, I just pulled up precinct 1. I know you just plugged in numbers, but that's, Jason put a 7% increase.
the reason I put 7% is because before we got in here and started talking about all this, my max number for raises for county employees and elected officials, I didn't want to go over 5,000. So that's why I put in that number. But that number means nothing.
No,
I just did that to.
No, I know. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's a good deal. I will just bring this up because y'all have pushed back on it. Your cell phone allowance is 1820. I know we've talked about a 1020 number.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we can either change that and move it up into the salary. I don't want you to have but in order, if we're going to truly try to keep lead from the front approach, you may just think about that. Again,
to me, it's gotta be the same.
we can readjust
Yeah.
we can adjust the compensation to a different deal. And I think, Judge, it's one of those things where if the county decides to provide cell phones, that doesn't mean in the FY 28 budget, you can't reallocate that up to income or because I know people use that. So it doesn't mean you can't do it in the future or reallocate it up to continue to show full compensation. But I just want to flag that from leading from the front. It may be something that.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Backlash.
what I told the JPs when they were in here, so I don't want to go back on my word on that.
My argument with the JPs on those things, sure, everybody in here uses their phones for county business. I know I use mine.
Yes, sir.
95% of my phone stuff is business.
Yes, sir.
And that's 30 days out of the month, 31 days out of the month. We're not on call once a week.
I understand.
So yeah, maybe our vehicle allowance is more. We're driving it 4 weeks, not one.
100%.
We're using our phone 4 weeks, not one. And I'm sure they use theirs for other things for things that's not when they're on call too. I'm just saying that would be
No,
my.
I agree with you.
But if we're gonna keep it uniform, then keep it uniform.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you have a better argument, sir, when you go and tell people this is the flat rate. I just think it looks better. Again, we can readjust the compensation. to-
Right,
To different
because
areas.
the counter to that is, well, we just give you a phone and we know what it costs us to give you a phone. And,
It's half of
and
the
then
allocation.
you're controlling what that expense is, and it is gonna be uniform. So vice versa, if we're not given a phone, then the allowance would be uniform because we have a way to make it uniform.
And I have a lot of people, my phone number's out there. So I have a lot of people that have my phone number, but I don't necessarily won't have my phone number.
Yeah, me
You
too.
know, and I don't always give it to them, but it's out there and they get it.
They say, well, I got it
It'd be nice
from,
to have a
I got it
counter.
from so-and-so. Got your number from so-and-so.
It's always the ones that you don't
Right.
have to have it.
The $1,000, whatever we agreed on for the cell phone.
It's 1020.
1020.
I mean, I think that's more, if I pay $210 a year for my unlimited everything, I think that's more than fair.
Dang, how do you do that?
How you do that?
210 for the year?
Visible.
Huh?
Visible.
Mine's that a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours is 200 a month,
Visible.
me and my wife.
I've heard of it.
You got one of those burner phones. You
Yeah.
can get rid
Not
of it.
visible.
Yeah.
It looks like that.
Commissioner Perry's got one of them burners that you can get rid of. to get
That's
new
a bargain, man. I need to look
Sets
at
off
that.
bombs.
So, you know, Judge, I'm not trying to direct it.
Yeah, no, we need to keep moving.
I do want to get to a number where, you know, here's the TAC average. Again, going back to Hood, who bakes it in directly into everything here. Henderson has a little bit of a travel allowance. You know, travel allowance can be travel allowance, car allowance. I kind of get those as the same thing. But, you know, putting them in a position to get close to that range, regardless of travel allowance, you know, or I think is a smart play here. I'm not saying we do all the way up for the base salary
Right.
there, but going back to, and again, I'm only pulling up similar to what we did with the JPs and the constables. I'm only pulling up one of the stuff, because I guess
Right.
y'all still want to all make the same. Is that correct? Or,
I think it ought to be that.
okay, I just, before we spend time on one, I just want to make sure that's some of you guys are wanting. So, to get without negating the travel allowance, which we can keep the same, on Jason's. I think he just, like he said, he just kind of went up across, looks like he went up about 8% or 2. I think he just plugged in $2,000 on his. So if we want to keep the travel allowance the same and just change the salary amounts and get the salaries where we think are comparable to other counties, and then the travel allowance is on top, or we believe the travel allowance should go up because of what we talked about, gas and all the rest. So
But I think gas is a pusher for travel allowance going up in itself, so.
100%, yes, sir.
Can y'all pause for 45 seconds or a minute and a half?
Minute and a half.
Yeah.
Make sure you.
We'll take a break,
Sorry.
short break.
Yes, sir.